You will no doubt be moved and inspired to see what things of beauty and utility, and with what skill and ingenuity our forebears created in communities linked together by faith in the Almighty and trust in the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. For the first time, Russian ethnographers had the opportunity to realize a research project in the territory of Oman, one of the most distinctive historical and cultural areas of Arabia, which has preserved intact many old traditions and technologies which can assist in reconstructing early Islamic ethnocultural patterns. In recent times, substantial national resources have been invested in exhibitions, catalogues, and other publications relating to Islam and Islamic cultures in Russia and elsewhere. All are encouraged to visit the museums introduced here, in person or via the internet if possible. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Treasure houses, accessing Islamic cultural heritage through Russian museums. A number of major museums in the Russian Federation have significant holdings relating to Islam and the Islamic cultural heritage, underpinned by many years of exemplary scientific exploration, research, exhibition, and publication. These cultural institutions are administered within the Ministry of Culture of the Russian Federation or the relevant republics. In recent times, substantial national resources have been invested in exhibitions, catalogues, and other publications relating to Islam and Islamic cultures in Russia and elsewhere. The Russian Museum of Ethnography in St. Petersburg has long been one of the leading ethnographic research and collecting institutions in Eurasia, and holds vast collections of materials relating to the Islamic and other societies of the region. It has particular strengths relating to the Caucasus and Crimea. The first Crimean collection was accessioned by the museum from the All-Russian Handicraft Exhibition of 1902, followed a year later by its first Caucasian acquisitions. The museum has two permanent and sensitively presented exhibitions devoted to Islamic themes. That, titled Northern Islam in the late 19th to 20th centuries, explores the Islamic traditions of the Volga region and Western Siberia, Central Asia, Kazakhstan, as well as the Caucasus and Crimea. The other is devoted to the culture of everyday life in Central Asian cities. In 2017, it mounted a beautiful exhibition, The World of Tatar Culture of the 19th to 20th centuries, which for the first time presented artifacts which reveal both the common and distinctive features of the various Tatar societies in Russia. Although the focus was on the traditional costumes and accessories of the Kazan Tatars, the largest Tatar grouping in Russia, one could also see festival and everyday clothing of the Mishars, Kasimovs, Kostroma Tatars, Siberian Tatars, Crimean Tatars, Nagabaks, and the Kryashens, Christianized Tatars. Among the most impressive items were jewelry, leatherwork, and embroidery, and all of which crafts the Tatars were renowned. In March the same year, the museum, in collaboration with the Leiden Institute for Rational Monotheism and Manuscripts Orientalia, undertook an historic and ethnographic exhibition to the Sultanate of Oman, with the support of its Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs. Its purpose was to investigate the existing cultural heritage of this part of the Arabian Peninsula as it relates to evidence in the Quran of the everyday material life of Arabia in the 7th to 8th centuries. For the first time, Russian ethnographers had the opportunity to realize a research project in the territory of Oman, one of the most distinctive historical and cultural areas of Arabia, which has preserved intact many old traditions and technologies which can assist in reconstructing early Islamic ethnocultural patterns. The Great State Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg also has significant collections from across the Islamic world, many high resolutions of which are available through its website. An honored place in the Hermitage Museum is accorded Dagestan. It is the only republic in the Federation which has a permanent exhibition hall dedicated solely to its medieval cultural heritage. This exhibition can be accessed through a 360-degree virtual tour, also available through the museum's websites. It has also exhibited both Yemeni and Syrian antiquities from its collections, the aim of which was to draw attention to the cultural, historical, and artistic heritage of Yemen and Syria, and to remind the world of cultural tragedies, the barbaric destruction and pillaging of historical artifacts and monuments in the Middle East, which continues today. A third museum in St. Petersburg, which has collections of Islamic cultural heritage, is, in fact, the first and oldest in Russia, the Peter the Great Museum of Anthropology and Ethnography, known as the Kunstkamera. Established by the Tsar and opened in 1719, it has significant collections, mainly related to everyday life, collected principally in the 19th century from Islamic cultures, which are on display permanently. It is now providing extensive online access to digitized imagery of its Islamic holdings, starting with Kazakh culture. The museum is particularly prominent in scholarly and art historical publishing relating to Islam, an excellent example being the beautiful illustrated exhibition catalogue, Oriental Dreams, Russian Avant-Garde, and Silks of Bukhara. Those living in or visiting Moscow may visit another major national museum which specifically concentrates on Asian cultures, including Islam, the State Museum of Oriental Art. It also has significant collections and intellectual resources relating to Islamic culture, in particular galleries and individual exhibits devoted to the popular arts and crafts of regions of primarily Islamic heritage from across what was formerly the USSR, including Dagestan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, etc. This admirable cultural institution also has a web presence. All the above state museums have both public educational and outreach programs and specialist libraries and archives, which are accessible to those with a research interest. Republics across the Russian Federation with large populations of the Islamic faith also have museum collections relating to their Islamic cultural heritage. For example, the Republic of Tatarstan has rich collections in its National Museum in Kazan, which has particularly energetic programs of public outreach to its collections. The National Museum of the Chechen Republic in Grozny has an interesting ethnographic exhibition. There is also a museum in the former palace of the Crimean Tatar Khans in Bakhchisarai, which those interested in the rich Crimean cultural heritage should visit. The Republic of Dagestan has an excellent museum in Makhachkala, the Dagestan Museum of Fine Art, with exhibits devoted to the culture through the ages, with artifacts excavated and collected over the last 150 years, as well as artworks documenting the daily lives and customs of the diverse peoples of mountains and steppes. There is also the National Museum of Dagestan nearby. These institutions have a related research and publication series of programs. Dagestan has developed high-quality illustrated books presenting various aspects of its Islamic cultural heritage, notably those produced by the Makhachkala publisher Epocha, as well as continuing its decades-long record of scientific publications, of which a good example is the architectural history of the traditional center of Kubachi by M.M. Mamayev. Publications illuminating the Islamic spiritual heritage are also experiencing a notable resurgence in Dagestan. All the above four regional museums in Tatarstan, Chechnya, Crimea, and Dagestan are valuable resources for understanding and preserving Islamic cultural heritage. However, unlike the great state museums in St. Petersburg, none has as yet developed a virtual web presence or only limited access to digitized images of its holdings. Such public access should be encouraged and is eagerly awaited. All are encouraged to visit the museums introduced here, in person or via the internet if possible. You will no doubt be moved and inspired to see what things of beauty and utility, and with what skill and ingenuity our forebears created in communities linked together by faith in the Almighty and trust in the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who said, Allah is beautiful and he loves beauty.